Hello, thank you for joining me for your service learning orientation. This orientation is for our education courses, so hopefully you are viewing the correct orientation. I will be covering what service learning is, the paperwork that you will get to do, community partners or school-based partners, as well as some of the benefits that you can gain from service learning. My name is Dawn Rhodes, and I am the Service Learning Program Coordinator, and I love seeing the impact that you as students have on our community as well as in the schools. So let's jump in to what service learning is. First, actually, let me show you our department website. This is our department website. This does change. These buckets do change. So I hope you would visit our department website. It is mesacc.edu/getengaged, or you can view the longer URL right there. But there are a lot of opportunities and resources that we have available on our website. So what is service learning? By definition, service learning is a teaching and learning method that connects meaningful community service with academic instruction through guided reflection. What does that really mean? Well, your instructor wants to break down the classroom walls and get you out in the community to serve tied to what he or she is teaching you. Because what's the best way most people learn? Hopefully you said hands-on or by doing, because that is absolutely correct. And your instructors realize that. In the Education Studies department, a lot of the education or early education courses incorporate service learning because they realize for you to be the best teacher you can be is they need you to get into those classrooms and experience what they're teaching. So some other focus areas of service learning is career exploration. Do you really want to be a teacher? What grade do you want to teach? What subject do you want to teach? This is a chance to explore those, and a lot of our students will do multiple service learning experiences throughout their tenure at Mesa Community College, and they'll go into different grades or to different schools. A lot of our students will also end up with full or part-time jobs as a result of their service learning, and then you can use this experience as real-world, real-life experience. Critical thinking and problem solving. Do you think as future teachers or just individuals in the community that it's important that you know how to think critically and solve problems? You bet. Values clarification. What do you value? What does society value? Particularly around education, funding for education. My favorite is probably social and personal development, because you as the individual giving the service, you'll be changed as you are making a difference in those you're working with. And last but not least, community and civic responsibility. We have a role to play, in our community. What difference are we making? Now we're going to jump into paperwork. If you are in a physical class or you want to come to our office, we can provide you with the hard copies of the paperwork. We're color-coded, so it's the green packet you would want for this course. And so we're going to walk through it, yet we're going to walk through it from the online version. So I had already pulled this up. This is our forms page under our department. So if you scroll here, it was here. And we are focusing on the service learning for EDU and EED prefixes. So let me open that up. Okay, fantastic. So the first sheet in the packet is on the online version is how you will submit your forms. We'll talk about the 2 forms that you need to submit before you start your service and your log at the end of your service. If you were in person, you will submit the hard copies to your service learning assistant or our office. If you are an online student, then you will send an email to our department's email, servicelearning@mesacc.edu, and make sure you include the course information there. Really important that you include that, because we will have students from all different courses and we'll get lots of emails. So if you want it to get filed away properly, please, please, please do us a favor and make sure you include that information there. With that, so just by way, we already talked about the definition of service learning, and it also includes these cover sheets. You do not need to include when you're sending your forms, but definition of civic engagement, community engagement. Our office is located on the Southern Dobson campus in the Kirk Student Center, 35N on the lower level. That's the clock tower building in the lower level. So if you need to come see us, or even at the Red Mountain campus, we have an office in Desert Willow and the Academic Engagement Center. So that's where we are, so you can come see us if you need assistance. Then throughout the paperwork, here's a checklist of the forms that you need to turn in, 2 before, the 1 after. The placement process, which I'll go through, you finding your school that you will do your service at. Since I mentioned this is the EDU prefix orientation. I may use community partner agency or site. Just know that that needs to be the school you are doing your service at, that you really need to be doing your service at a school. We'll talk about the paperwork, the order it's due, not when it's due. You need to refer to your instructor's syllabus. And also, forgive me, when I show you the community partners or schools, what's listed today might not be an active school when you are viewing this orientation. So you need to refer to the database for active partners, updated contact information. And then if you need fingerprint clearance card, you can view our website for more information there. The other thing right here on the right-hand side of the paperwork is telephone protocol. If you need to call your schools for your placement, it gives you the instructions right there. If you don't need to call your schools, then that might not, then this information is not applicable. However, I would still encourage you to read it because it talks about leaving your phone number, that you're doing this for a course, and how many hours that you get to do. The benefits of service learning, we will come back to those. You can extend your service learning to earn a 1, 2, or 3 credit hour course. If you're interested in that, see our office or your instructor, and then as well as some other grant opportunities and service scholarships or awards. So let's jump into the paperwork. The first form here, or in your packet if you have a hard copy, is a letter you're going to leave with your cooperating teacher. The other thing I might say, agency supervisor, know that that's the teacher you're working with. You will fill in the information and then your instructor's information. I highly encourage you to read this letter because the Education Studies Department has written this letter to the cooperating teachers to give them information about what they want you to gain from this experience. And so the more if you've read it, you have a better understanding as we go to the forms on setting up your responsibilities. Okay, so in our hard copy packet, it's white. So white to the site. We don't want it back. You will leave it with your cooperating teacher. So as we scroll, then the next 2 forms we're going to talk about, these 2 forms, the confirmation form and assumption of risk. These 2 forms you will turn in before you start your service. So before you start your service, you're going to turn in this confirmation form. On all of the forms here, make sure you're filling in your information as well as your course information. If you have more than one course that incorporates service learning, you will list your primary course and all of your other course or courses. So for instance, if you have EDU 221, which is Intro to Education, that requires 30 hours. You're not even able to pass the course unless you complete 30 hours of field experience. One of the ways is by doing service learning. Your instructor can tell you the other option of completing those 30 hours. And so that one requires 30, and let's say you're doing EDU 230, that requires, we're going to just say 20 hours, again referring to your instructor's syllabus for the required hours. You will list the primary course, EDU 230, your secondary, EDU 221 is your primary, EDU 230 is your secondary, and the course information there. You will then fill out your school information, who your mentor or cooperating teacher is, and then what your student responsibilities are. When you are designing these student responsibilities, again, you've read that letter, so you understand the expectations of your instructor. They first and foremost must meet your course objectives. They second must be something you're comfortable and able to do. And third, actually, let me reverse those. First, first, meet your course objectives. Second, meets the needs of the school. And third, something you're comfortable with. So for example, for EDU 221, it is to gain hands-on experience in a P12 classroom setting. Very broad, very generic. EDU 230 is to gain hands-on experience in a culturally diverse classroom setting. Again, very generic, very diverse. So if you have more than one class, again, if your service can relate to both courses, you can list both those courses, and you don't have to do, oh, I forgot to mention this earlier, do multiple hours, because we're going back up to the primary versus secondary. 221 requires 30, 230 requires 20, so that looks like you have to do 50. No, you have to just do 30 as long as your service relates to both courses. So you're at a culturally diverse P12 classroom setting helping out. Okay, so forgive me for not saying that a second ago when I was talking about the primary versus secondary. So you'll turn in your originals to the primary and copies to all the your other course or courses. So if you're submitting them online, make sure you include the multiple courses in the subject line as outlined in the instructions. So now back to the responsibilities. So when you're setting those up, make sure it's something aligns to your course objectives, and then something you're comfortable and able to do, as well as does meet the needs of the agency. Those responsibilities can change over time just because they've gotten to know you, or you've gotten to know them better and they just see your skills. As you see then also at the bottom of the form, it talks about listing when you're going to be there. It's really important that you set this service up just like you set your schedule, or you set your work, things like that. So if we get to do 30 hours over a semester for your EDU 221, again, it's not just EDU 221, but that one I know is required 30 hours, over a 10-week semester, taking a little bit at the beginning and the end, how many hours a week is that you're going to get to do? Hopefully you said 3. So 3 hours a week. Is that more doable if you break it down like that? Hopefully you've said yes. And so then you're going to set up this schedule with the teacher as to what works for you and what works for the cooperating teacher or mentor teacher you're working with. So does that mean you're going in Monday, Wednesday, Friday from noon to 2, or Tuesdays, Thursdays, 12 to 3? I'm just throwing out time. So set that schedule again as you would any other schedule. Then the next, as we scroll down, part of the confirmation form is this agreement of conduct. It's really important when you go to these schools, you not only represent yourself as a future teacher or a community member, you represent your instructor, our department, their college. So you don't want to ruin it for any other students that come after you. This agreement of conduct talks about showing up when you say you're going to show up, doing the things you're going to do, attire, find out what is appropriate. Some schools don't allow hats, multiple piercings, printed material, things like that. So you'll want to find out what is appropriate to wear. Some of them may even have a dress code. So dress for success, and then find out what you should be able, what they would like you to wear. Yet always avoid the 3 B's. That's no boobs, no butts, no bellies. We want to cover those up. Okay? And then these top 2 signatures are required. Your mentor teacher as well as your signature. Those 2 signatures are required before you start your service. Basically, it's saying that the mentor teacher understands that they're going to serve as your mentor teacher, and that you understand that you are going to follow the agreement of conduct. The photo release signature here at the bottom, that is optional. We would love for you to sign it, and especially we have chances to do reflections or feature students and things like that, and if we already have the photo release, it just makes it that much easier. Okay, hopefully we're doing good and you're learning about these forms. The next form that we're going to talk about you'll turn in before you start your service is the assumption of risk and release of liability. If I get no other form, I need this form, so it's really important that you complete this form. The first blank line on the form will be your printed name. The next line on the form is your student ID and or MEID or MEAD. And then the third blank line, that is the school you are doing your service at. I do not want to see MCC unless you are serving at MCC Children's Center, for instance. Yet it will be the actual school you're doing your service at. The fourth and fifth line I have already filled in. These dates will look different by whatever time you're viewing this orientation, because they are the beginning date of the date of the first day of the semester to the last day of the semester. That is not when your hours are due. You really need to refer to your instructor's syllabus for those due dates. Okay. So again, when the confirmation's due or when the assumption and risk due, your instructor syllabus will outline those. You will read this and sign it. It takes no one else's signature unless you're under 18, and then you must have a parent or legal guardian sign it. Okay? It's important when you go to these agencies that you understand you are liable and responsible for yourself. One of the things that we ask is that you're never left alone with children or vulnerable populations. So what does that look like? Let's say Mrs. Smith, you're serving in her classroom and she's like, hey Dawn, you're doing really great with these kids. I'll be about 5 minutes. I just need to run to the restroom. Hey, thank you, Miss Smith, for trusting me with these kiddos. I need you to stay here. I need you to get another staff member or teacher, or I need you to take the kids with you or hold it. You are not the certified teacher in the classroom, so you need to just think safety for yourself as well as the safety of those you're working with. And if an activity becomes unsafe, stop it, get a staff member, and proceed from there. Okay, so the previous two forms, so assumption risk placement confirmation form, we talked about that you will submit before you start your service. The next form is your contact log. This form you will turn in and you will complete as you're going throughout the semester. So I'm going to go back to the first page in a minute. You will outline what you're going to do, what you were doing when you were there, and you will have your mentor or teacher initial it at each session. If you look at the very bottom of the form, I show you how I would like you to track your time by either as a 1 for a whole hour, 0.75 for 45 minutes, 0.5 for 30, or 0.25 for 15 minutes. For your math sanity as well as my math sanity, please do that. You will total each column and total your hours when you are done with your service. Going back up, just like the confirmation form, please, please, please fill out the all of the requested information that is needed for the forms, because we will receive a lot of paperwork in our office and we want to be able to file it away correctly. Again, if you have more than one course, you're listing your primary versus your secondary or other courses. Okay? And when you're done, have your mentor teacher complete this evaluation. 2 reasons why we do it. First and foremost is so you add closure to your service. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I really enjoyed serving in your classroom. Can you take a few minutes to evaluate me? She now knows you're done. Because if you've consistently come to her classroom on a certain day and time throughout the semester, do you think she started to count on you to the activities she planned and things that she's doing? Absolutely. And if poof, you don't show up, then now you've left her in a bind and she might not be able to do the activities she has planned. And then the second reason why we why we have you do the evaluation is so that you see how well you're doing or areas that you may need to improve upon. Okay? So again, add that closure. Mrs. Smith, I'm done with my hours. Can you take a few minutes to evaluate me? Hopefully this is her chance to say, hey, let's go talk to the principal to see if there's a job that you might get or available. Or I'd love for you to continue in the classroom. or come back another semester. If you ever need a letter of recommendation, things like that, that might not always, they might not always offer those, yet hopefully it's not, oh, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So that is the paperwork. The contact log, you will turn in at the end of your hours. The assumption of risk you will turn in before you start your service, along with the placement confirmation form. The letter you will leave with the school. So let's talk about where you can do your service at. So you must serve an approved community partner. If I didn't say this, I'll say community partner, site, agency, or school. That for you in this orientation, you will be serving at a school. I know some instructors do use the professional development school, so you need to follow your instructor's information on your placement site. However, if they don't, I will show you. Here, so I went to our department's website, and then I scrolled to service sites here, and then on this orientation, or excuse me, on this link here to get to our partner database. There's a few ways you can do it. You can see all of the ones listed, and just know when I show you a school today, might not be an available school when you're doing the orientation. So you really need to check the database, and even the contact information that might pop up today might not be what you would see when you're doing the orientation, okay? So let's, I'm just gonna go and for kicks and giggles do the show all, and it's just a scrolling list. So let's look up Adams Elementary, and then it will list the contact and what they require, if there's requirements and stuff there. So let me then go back. That's again the whole alphabetical listing of the different schools that we might currently have a partnership with. And then you can even search. Oops, I untagged it or unchecked it. This search can be done on your cell phone as well as web browser. You can search by a school name if you wanted to. So I put in Redword. Let's see if it pops up. It does, and then it's there. You can also go ahead and maybe you want to select a city because you live in a different city than Mesa. You can select that city and look to see if there's a school offered in that city. Okay, that's our online community partner database. If you need extra help from what I showed you, you can see these search option helps guide here. That's a little tongue twister. Okay, let's see. You will turn in, I think I forgot to, nope, I already did cover, you will turn in your paperwork. Again, if you're in person, you'll turn in hard copies to your service learning assistant or office. If you're online, you will turn in your forms via email, including this information in the subject line, please. Let's see. Let's go to, I guess, scholarships and awards. There is more money for you to do service learning than there has been before by way of scholarships, and you can use this service learning experience on your scholarship and resumes. There's different awards that our office offers as well for participating in service or service learning. So you can scroll those on our website. But ultimately, what you put into the service learning experience is what you will get out of it. So if you want it to be a boring, dumb, stupid assignment, it will be just that. Yet if you want it to be an awesome, phenomenal experience where you're applying what your instructor's teaching you, then it will be that. So I encourage you to be excited about this. Get excited to make a difference. Go, be open to the possibilities of what you can learn in the community. And I'm excited to see you get involved. Again, I'm Dawn Rhodes. I'm the Service Learning Program Coordinator. If you have any questions, come to our office. We would love to assist you. Thanks, and make it a great day.